Balancing chemical equations is a core skill in the Chemical and Physical Foundations of Biological Systems section of the MCAT, and it shows up in everything from stoichiometry and gas laws to redox reactions and metabolic pathways. And the MCAT doesn't test it the way general chemistry exams do. You're not asked to balance long equations from scratch. Instead, you'll see passages where the balance of atoms affects equilibrium, reaction yields, limiting reagents, or charge conservation. So today we're breaking down the essential logic behind balanced equations, why it matters, how coefficients work, and the classic pitfalls that trip up students. Chemical equations, describing a reaction. A chemical equation simply represents what goes in and what comes out of a reaction. Reactants undergo chemical change and products are what form afterward. The MCAT expects you to read these equations like a map, showing how matter flows from one form to another. Law of conservation of mass. Nothing disappears. The law of conservation of mass tells you that matter can't be created or destroyed. Because of that, the total mass and the total number of atoms of each element must be identical on both sides of a chemical equation. This rule is the entire reason balancing is required. Balancing chemical equations, equalizing atoms. Balancing is simply making sure that the number of atoms of each element matches on both sides. You adjust coefficients, the numbers in front of each compound, to create that balance. Subscripts never change. Changing them would turn one compound into a completely different substance, and the MCAT expects you to recognize that mistake instantly. How to balance. The core steps. Start by identifying all reactants and products, then count how many atoms of each element appear on both sides. Begin balancing with the most complex species or the element that appears least frequently. Add coefficients to bring the counts into alignment, and keep adjusting until every atom matches. Balancing is a puzzle. Once one part falls into place, the rest follows. Can you balance this equation? H2 plus O2 form H2O. Write the unbalanced equation. H2 plus O2 form H2. O balance hydrogen, H. On the left, you have two hydrogen atoms, H2. On the right, you have two hydrogens in H2O. So, hydrogen is already balanced. Balance oxygen, O. On the left, you have two oxygen atoms in O2. On the right, you only have one oxygen in H2O, so add a coefficient of 1/2 in front of O2. H2 plus 1/2. O2 form H2. O, make the coefficients whole numbers. To avoid fractions, multiply everything by 2. 2H, 2 plus O2 form 2H2O. Now the equation is balanced. Common pitfalls, what the MCAT loves to test. Never change subscripts. That alters chemical identity and breaks the entire logic of the reaction. When polyatomic ions appear unchanged on both sides, treat them as single units. It speeds balancing and avoids errors. The MCAT often hides these ions inside bigger compounds to see if you recognize them. Reaction types, patterns that help you balance faster. Combination reactions usually involve forming a single product, making balancing straightforward. Decomposition reactions split one compound into simpler products, so you balance outward from the original molecule. Combustion reactions follow a recognizable pattern. Oxygen as a reactant, carbon dioxide and water as products, and oxygen is often the last element balanced. Redox reactions require balancing both mass and charge, and these show up frequently because biochemical pathways rely on electron transfer. Balancing chemical equations isn't just a math exercise. It's the foundation behind stoichiometry, thermodynamics, redox chemistry, and reaction prediction. When you understand how to track atoms and charge, MCAT passages become much easier to navigate because you can see exactly how matter is transforming from start to finish. With that said, here are just a few of our student success stories, students who improved their scores and even got into medical school. If you're preparing for the MCAT, click the link below to get started with your own preparation. We specialize in helping students reach a 515+ score guarantee, and we'd love to help you too. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel for more MCAT breakdowns like this, and follow us on Instagram for extra tips and resources.